Hello and welcome back to Suspended Fanimation. I'm your host, Dennis Bithoulkas, and it's time for another episode of Is It Worth My Time? And this time around, it's the new Marvel movie, Eternals. Not the Eternals, but just Eternals. Although I could have sworn they had the in the marketing stuff. But anyway, whatever. Let me take care of some business first and we'll get down to it. If you like what you see here, like, share, and subscribe. If you're still on the fence about subscribing, take a look at the video that pops up at the very end here. YouTube takes the algorithms of all those nasty, nasty videos you've been watching and tries to match them as best as possible to one of the nasty videos in my video library, my vast video library, and pops it up there just for you. And if you like what you see there, hit that subscribe button down below there. And if you can, hit that like button, the share button as well. Also, if you don't want to be notified by YouTube, best thing to do is hit that bell down below. Basically, YouTube won't give you any notifications. So the best thing to do is go over to suspendedfanimation.com. Take a look at the schedule up there. I change it out every week. Also, I have all the links to my social media on there. So Twitter, Instagram, Patreon. And I also have all the links to my pages on there. So there's YouTube channel page, my Facebook page, and a Facebook group page where you guys can post stuff and chat amongst yourselves. Those of you who still have Facebook. Good evening, Cheryl Lyra. Good evening. I am Gotham's Reckoning. I had to actually get that voice back again. I'd forgotten how to do Bane from the animated Harley Quinn. What are you doing, dog? Sorry, I'm watching my dog now behind the couch for some reason, which she has never done in the almost a year that we've been here. So, yeah. Good evening. The children of the night, they make such wonderful music. Anyway, let's get to it, shall we? I'm going to do a non-spoiler version for those of you out there who are still on the fence about this, and then I'll do the spoiler version afterwards. So the non-spoiler version. So first of all, who in the fuck are the Eternals? Um, it's actually from a comic book from Marvel and 74, somewhere around there. So what had happened is Jack Kirby, or King Kirby as we like to call him, great artist, one of the fantastic artists out there, and or was one of the fantastic artists. Of course, he passed away. He had worked at Marvel, Captain America, Black Panther, you name it, he touched at some point in time. And Marvel screwed him over, as they did with all their artists and still do to this day. And so he left and went to DC Comics. And so he was over at DC Comics creating the New Gods, which are Dark Side, the Apocalypse world, all that kind of stuff. And they canceled that comic right when he was in the middle of doing his story. And so DC screwed him over. So he went back to Marvel to kind of continue a cosmic story, if you will, with the Eternals, which wasn't very well received. It was kind of mediocre at best. So this is, of course, near the tail end of his career at this point. But he made some really stunning visual artwork and all this. A lot of this stuff has been done as posters for like blacklight posters and stuff like that. I remember probably about, I want to say anywhere from 8 to 10 years ago, over at Comic Con, there was a booth that was selling nothing but Eternals artwork poster that was done up as blacklight posters, the original Kirby artwork. Really cool stuff. So that's where this all comes from. The movie, though, the movie is about a group of people that are sent to Earth to help Earth develop, is what they're there for, and they are eternal. They don't die, of course. Well, they don't grow old and die of natural causes. Let's just say that, and they are there to protect humans from what are called deviants, and deviants are just kind of creatures that feed on life, is what they are. Um, and so we keep getting flashbacks to when they came to Earth 7,000 years ago, and then of course present day and what's going on now. And they only one person out of their group actually knows what the mission is. They are actually in touch with the higher being, if you will, the giant head to cribbed from, Big Bang, not Big Bang Theory, Third Rock from the Sun, and only knows the true mission of what they're doing there. And that's where the crux of this whole story is as to what they're doing there, what their real mission is. Why are they helping humans? Why didn't they help out during the snap? And of course the blip and all of that kind of stuff. So uh, yeah, it is better than the movie Pen. The blacklight posters are fucking awesome. I wish I had bought some, but they were just way too expensive. So, I'll get into why in the spoiler version. So, it comes down to, is it worth your time? Um, Not really. It's 2.5 hours long. I believe it's 2.5 hours long, if I remember correctly. And I didn't fall asleep through it, which was kind of amazing. Um, yes, 2 hours and 36 minutes long. And it's boring. It's mainly boring. Uh, I know there's a lot of auteurs out there and Martin Scorsese's out there who pish posh on comic book movies and superhero movies and say they are crap and they are mindless and anybody can do them. No, they can't. As we saw with Chloe Zhao, who of course is an Oscar award-winning director, she couldn't do this one. It's not to say it's a bad movie. It is not is by far not the worst of the Marvel movies. I would say it's actually 4 steps up from the worst of the Marvel movies. It still has a way to go before it can go down. And mainly that's because of the end scenes that kind of save it, to tell you the truth. There are some scenes within the movie itself that actually are interesting. Captain Marvel's down in those bottom 4. Yeah, Captain Marvel for me is down at the very bottom. Well, Incredible Hulk for me is down at the very bottom, then Captain Marvel, believe it or not. And yeah, Thor Dark World's down there too. So yeah, there's quite a few movies that are down there before you get to, of course, Eternals, or yeah, Eternals. So with that said, is it worth your time? Probably not, because it's 2.5 hours long and it's boring. Uh, the people are pretty, but it's lifeless, and the movie's in bad need of an editor. I mean, bad need of an editor. I keep saying this time and time again, but this one, yeah, it was noodled to death to draw it out, and it really didn't need to be noodled out as much as it did. There wasn't enough story to bring in 2.5 hours worth of this noodling. So yeah. All right. With that said, spoiler alert, I am going to spoil the movie. If you have not seen the movie, you can go and see it. It's your own dime at that point. It's in theaters only. So, I'm going to give you a little chance to go away. You can pause it or stop it or whatever you want to do. But that is your only warning. There we go. So, also, I want to say I did go to a theater to go and see this. Um, I was sitting in what's called a D box seat. I call it the D bag seat because it's extra money and it rumbles, so you can actually, when stuff happens, it rumbles around and stuff like that. And I figured that would keep me awake if it was really, really fucking boring. And really, all it did was just kind of annoyed me more than anything else. Although I did find it funny, there were some scenes where you're kind of flying through a valley and the seat kind of gently turns with you as it's flying through the valley. And I was kind of almost ready to laugh just because it was really ridiculous to be sitting in a seat like that. But mainly, I was sitting in that seat because there was no one else around me. When I was looking at where you can pick your own seat, that was where I wanted to be situated, where I didn't have to sit next to anybody. No problem, Sherry. Yeah, you can wait till it comes out on Disney Plus in 3 months. It's going to be out on Disney Plus in 3 months. I mean, Shang-Chi is coming out on Friday, the 12th is yeah, Saturday. Shang-Chi will be out on Saturday, as well as Jungle Cruise. So, and I've got to say this much too, before I get into the whole spoiler thing here. Um, Picture quality is not great in the theater. I used to go to the theater quite a bit. It's the first time for me being back in a movie theater in almost 2 years, and wow, I mean, I have better quality picture on my TV screen than I do in the theater, and it wasn't a crappy theater either. It was actually a good, up to date, state of the art digital theater and all that stuff. It wasn't Dolby Atmos or anything like that. And I also realized I really fucking hate other people in movie theaters. I really do, because they're always moving around, saying stupid shit, basically distracting me from the movie. And I'm just not a fan, quite honestly. I would rather have it streamed. I will pay the $30 to watch it streaming, and that's all I'm going to say about that. Yeah, I didn't miss anything seeing it in the theater, other than and the theater's within walking distance of my house, so it was just easy to walk over there. And all it did was it gave me an excuse to get a burger afterwards. That's all it was. So, with that said, would it have worked as a TV show? No, Pen. It really wouldn't. Well, it depends if it was a different person doing this. I know Chloe Zhao also co-wrote the movie, and it just seemed kind of pointless, to tell you the truth. I mean, so the whole crux of this thing, what is the spoiler of this? Is that Asharam, is it Asharam? I can never remember his name now. The big dude who is their leader out in the sky there, and I can never remember what his name is. Sorry, I'm actually looking it up at the moment. Um, but yeah, Ashiram. Anyway, so the big dude out in the sky there, who actually has tasked them with their, their mission, if you will, hasn't told them what they really are. Is that they are there to cultivate humans, then multiply on the planet, so that every planet has been seeded with another celestial. Celestials are gigantic beings that are they can basically the size of the earth, they can hold within their hands. So that's how big they are. And basically seeds planets to create more celestials, and celestials will create billion upon billions of more beings. They are part of the universe, and they are the life and death cycle of the universe. Essentially, they destroy planets by being born so that they can create other planets, so other beings live and die and blah 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 blah. So Mufinobi says, I found the Dolby Digital sound a bit overly loud since the last time. Huh. Okay. Um, and so the only one who knows this is, of course, their leader, Ajax, played by Salma Hayek. And she actually dies about, I would say, less than midway through the movie. She's actually killed, of course, by Icarus. And you don't find out it's Icarus, of course, until about more than halfway through the movie, which was good. I mean, you kind of had inklings of that was what the case was, but they played that pretty well. But yeah, the whole flashback things of going back and forth between the past and the present just got old really fast. It really did. And some of the characters were just there mainly for comic relief, like Kinjo. Of course, I I love Kumali Najani, I really do, but his Kinjo character was just there as comic relief. That's all he was there for. He really was. I would argue that Fastos was actually more of uh, a relevant character than Kingo was. Kingo was there was just to give comic relief. And you know what the common denominator is between me and Kingo? What we both have in common? We both have Captain America's original shield. So there was a little Easter egg in there where you saw him. He has Captain America's original shield back in his private plane. So yes, Philip, I agree with you. Only Highlander does the Eternal stuff well. Um, so yeah, the whole thing about the deviants having been former Eternals out there, and every Eternal, every time they're on a planet or something like that, they get their minds wiped. So there's something called it's basically a MacGuffin, a mouthful of MacGuffin is what it is. And Angelina Jolie's character Thena remembers alternate worlds where they've already killed, other worlds and all that stuff. So her memories are bleeding over, and so she is trying to kill the Eternals here and there, or every now and then. She kind of fugues out and wants to kill, and of course has to be reminded that she's no on this planet. And yeah, so yeah, the Gilgamesh and Thena stuff was okay, but it couldn't have made an entire movie for Nebula. It was just that was what was kind of boring about it. Yes, the CGI in general for this entire movie, I'll say, was horrible. But let's jump ahead to the mid-credit scene where, we have the Domo, which is the name of the ship, and we have, Athena and, who else is on board there? Druig and, oh, now I'm blanking on it, uh, Makari, and I believe it was, no, Fastos wasn't on there, but those 3 are on there. And they get a little tiny, you see this a rainbow effect kinda happen on board the ship, and out pops this really bad CGI troll, voiced by another troll, Patton Oswalt. And, unfortunately, it's one of my favorite Marvel characters, a weird character, Pip the Troll. And he introduces another character who is also really great in the Marvel lore, Star Fox, also known as Eros, played by Harry Styles. And Eros is actually Thanos' brother. And why is this important? Because this ushers in Guardians of the Galaxy 3 and Adam Warlock. So Pip the Troll and Star Fox are always associated with Adam Warlock, who we know Will Poulter is going to be playing in Guardians of the Galaxy 3. So that was one thing that was great, that they were ushering in the whole infinity basically they're the Infinity Stone protectors is what these guys are. And that was actually kind of cool bringing that in. And then also the very end credit scene, you get the Black Knight, of course, who is Dane, played by Kit Harrington, by the way. So Kit Harrington was playing Dane Whitman, who of course ends up becoming the Black Knight in the comics. And the Black Knight, his bloodline essentially is ruled by the ebony sword, is what it's called, or the ebony blade. So the ebony blade is actually a cursed blade that was made by Merlin and oh, it was one of the Knights of the Round Table. And essentially, every person who wields it, it gives them great power, but it also makes them a bloodthirsty murderer, is what it becomes. So they pay a price for it. Um, and just before he's about to touch the ebony blade, you hear a voice that says, "Are you sure you want to do that, Mr. Whitman? I wouldn't do that if I were you, Mr. Whitman," is what it says. And if that voice didn't sound familiar to you, it's okay. I mean, that was Mahershala Ali, who of course is going to be playing Blade. And that's the first introduction of Blade you get into the into the current MCU, is through a voice. And what does that set up? That sets up Midnight Suns, because we already know Werewolf by Night is actually going to be happening in Halloween on Disney Plus. That's already been cast. We know Ghost Rider is going to be coming, of course. Ghost Rider is part of Midnight Suns. That's what happens. We know Moon Knight is coming, and I think Moon Knight actually might be dragged into Midnight Suns in this one as well. So these are all the supernatural characters. And the Ebony Blade also is tied to Dracula. So we have a whole nother set of MCU movies that are going to be based on that are being so you have the cosmic, you have the supernatural, then you have the earthbound. So Marvel is actually ramping up. If those people out there who thought we were getting less Marvel movies, no, 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 we're going to be getting a shit ton more of Marvel movies. So if you didn't like superhero movies before, you're really not going to like them now. especially with Marvel with what they're doing. Yeah. Philip says, so the agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. was a troll all along. Yes, he was. Yeah. And actually, Philip, this is Patton Oswalt's first um, official entry into the MCU, by the way. So the other one doesn't count. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is not part of the MCU. Kevin Feige has said so time and time again that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is not part of the MCU. Neither is any of the other stuff like the Netflix series, Inhumans, the Hulu series, anything Marvel that Jeff Loeb touched is not part of the MCU. So there you go. It's only the stuff that's been on Disney Plus. Pen Farm Girl says this all sounds really good to me. Yes, there is a lot of stuff coming, and it's all a lot of exciting stuff. If it's done well, and I think it will be. Yeah. Philip says King told me it counts. No, it doesn't. Because that universe got destroyed. Yeah, it needed to be. Oh, thank you for reminding me, Raymond. Raymond says, so you think the Infinity Gems will still play a major part in the future of the MCU? Yes. At the very beginning, if you're reading the script that is going on, they say that the Celestials came about before, as they put it, before the creation of the six singularities. So it says in the beginning, um, uh, Arishem predates the six singularities, is what they said, and that's the Infinity Stones. So the Collector actually said in Guardians of the Galaxy, when he did his little spiel about the Infinity Stones and how they were created by the Celestials, is what they said, as concentrated ingots. So yes, the Celestials were the ones who forged them, and you actually see the Collector show a Celestial wielding one of the Power Stones and becoming mad, and of course having to be taken down. So yeah, I believe that yes, the Infinity Stones are going to be a big deal still, because we have like I said, you have Adam Warlock coming in, you have Star Fox already, Pip the Troll. So there's just a lot of stuff that was actually thrown out at the last minute here, which leads me to believe that the reason why Pip wasn't animated so properly is because they threw that in at the last minute. And that looks like it was done in like 2 weeks' time, if that. And that's the reason why it looks so shitty. So Penn says the Netflix series were mostly really good. Just ignore Iron Fist. Yeah, I know. And the Defenders. The Defenders movie. Yeah, Sigourney Weaver, like 70-year-old Sigourney Weaver trying to do karate or kung fu. Yeah, I know she was trying to do kung fu, but yeah. Yes, movie Finobi. Daredevil is being reintroduced. And a lot sooner than you think. As a matter of fact, next month in a little movie that's coming out. So, and yes, it is Charlie Cox. So it's the worst kept secret, quite honestly. It's there's no spoiler to it. This has been out for like a year now. Who was the best actor in this film? Ooh, that's a good question. Um, certainly was not Gemma Chan. I'm sorry. I like Gemma Chan, but ooh, wow, she got no direction on that one. Neither was the guy who played Icarus. Yeah, Richard Madden. And by the way, this also counts as the very first sex scene in a Marvel in an MCU movie too. You kind of got Icarus on top of you know Cersei, and he's making the motion, that kind of thing. And then it's like, oh, okay, so they're actually doing this in a PG-13 movie. I was kind of surprised, but good for that. You know. Ooh, man, the best actor in this movie, I would say the one who was having the most fun with it was Kamal Najani, but then again, I'm a little bit biased towards him. I would say Ma Dong Seok, who plays Gilgamesh. I think he was probably the best actor out of all of this. Even the guy who played Fastos, Tyree Henry, was good, but he kind of overacted some stuff, whereas Gilgamesh was actually fairly reined in. And you could tell his anger when he goes off on Icarus. That was actually a really good scene where he's like, "I've been waiting a while to just fucking haul off on you," and you could actually believe that he was actually pissed at him when he's holding down Icarus with the bands and everything, and that's actually, uh, you know, pretty hard to do. So, Mufinobi says, "What was Thanos' brother in the comics? Part of the Infinity Saga?" Yes, Star Fox was Thanos' brother in the comics, and yes, it's part of the Infinity Saga. So I'm fairly sure. So after the Infinity War, the Infinity Gauntlet, and all that stuff, there was the Infinity Saga where you have Adam Warlock, Pip, and Star Fox, and Moonstone, if I remember correctly, is her name. I can't remember offhand. I know there was a female in there too. There's a group of them that actually all had one of the stones, and so they were going around the universe doing whatever good they wanted to do. Yeah, yeah. The cameraman was fun, but it was that was comic relief. I really kind of wanted the whole thing with Kingo just kind of going off and go, nope, I'm a pacifist. I'm not going to get involved in this. And honestly, I think he's right. So I'm just going to step out of this. And then he just disappears, by the end of the movie and then comes back again and goes, oh, everything's over with. Hey, and everything worked out. Thanks. Mm. So yeah. Um, I just thought that was kind of dumb, really. There was a lot of dumb things in this movie that could have been excised out, filed down, and done better. Um, the whole thing with Cersei running towards the lava fields to do whatever she needs to do, and then she really didn't need to run that far because the Celestial was coming up out of the ground anyway, so he exposed himself. Not in that way, but the skin wise, so she could touch him and do her magic powers. Yes, you're right, Philip. Star Fox and Thanos also play a big part in the death of Captain Marvel. Fingers crossed. Yes. No, actually, Skarsgård did not do the voice of Arasham. Skarsgård actually did Crow. Bill Skarsgård did the voice of Crow. Arasham was David K is his name. David K is the one who did the Arasham voice. But Bill Skarsgård did Crow, the deviant who ends up evolving to the point where he could speak. So, in the comics, actually, Crow and Thena actually get together, kind of thing, and yeah, it's supposed to be very, salacious and all that kind of stuff. But hey, what do you want? But some of the other little Easter eggs, the Black Knight's ring, of course, that Cersei gives Dane is, of course, she probably had it since the Middle Ages, but yeah, that was actually kind of fun. Um, you know, I don't know. There's a whole bunch of little things like Sprite uh, being referenced from Peter Pan. Most likely, she was the basis for Tinkerbell and Peter Pan and all of that. Um, things of that nature. What else is there? And oh, also Superman. So we know Superman is in this world as well, or not the Superman, but Superman comics or Superman movies, and that is a little bit of fun that they put in there, and also Batman too, because they referenced Alfred as well when they're talking about the valet. Um, oh yes, Skarsgård was the deviant. Yes, yeah. And I don't know, Salma Hayek. I didn't buy her as Ajax, tell you the truth. She seemed like she was in a different movie altogether. And it's like, "Oh, I'm dead." Kinda I don't know, it just seemed kinda odd. And I like Selma. I actually just watched, The Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard, which is hilarious, by the way. And, yeah, I got a kick out of it, and she's great in it, of course, and that's more her speed. This was not. This was one of those things that she's out of her element, and, when you have and I'm sorry to say, I'm gonna say that Chloe Zhao is a weak director in this one and did not give her actors a lot of direction. I don't think that's what it looked like in this, and that's why you got such weak performances out of them. Out of a good majority of them, I'll say. So, yeah. So, not the best of movies, and and like I said, it's not worth the 2.5 hours sit in a theater, especially when it's gonna be out on Disney Plus in 3 months. If you already have Disney Plus, you're gonna be able to see it for, your subscription price. So, Philip says, "I heard Selma really held back in this movie." She wasn't in it for very long, Philip, and then she's in it sporadically, like, throughout the movie, but still, it's just kinda like, she's playing the, matriarch of the group, and it was just weird. I mean, and honestly, Angelina Jolie was actually even worse, to tell you the truth, because she was just kinda there, and, yeah, no, I've seen Angelina Jolie do better performances than this in her sleep. It was pretty bad, Raymond. Her performance was bad. I mean, the only thing that was kind of good was when she started, the Makariar or whatever it was, the brain whatever that happened, and, you'd see her face, like, whatever, and, her eyes would turn white, and she'd go to kill people, and she's trying to hold back. That was about the only thing that was good acting-wise from her in that. But otherwise, yeah, not that great. And then finding out that they're just robots, and then Sprite having, a big fit about why did, Asheram just make me a she whatever his name is, the big dude that I'm talking about, um, Erisham, there we go. Why did he make me forever young kinda thing? Why did he make me a child? And yeah. Mufino, he says, "Execution was off on the film, Taika would have been a better choice." Yeah, yeah, well, Taika would have made it a complete comedy, but at the same time, I'm trying to figure out where does this fit within the MCU, and was it really a necessary thing for the MCU? And I'm like, "No, not really." And it's the same thing like the comic in Marvel Comics, a lot of comic fans know about it, yet at the same time, it doesn't have any bearing on the rest of the Marvel world, if you will. Um, and this also brings up the fact, Ego, Peter's father, Peter Quill's father, says that he's a celestial, Ego. If that's the case, then why isn't he giant, kind of like Erisham? And was he created by Erisham, or is this something else? We never really, you know, that's now a question out there as well. And then also Nowhere was a celestial, the head, Nowhere, and, was killed. Who killed that celestial, and what was going on with that? So there's some questions now that are brought up because of all of this. Dbeth says, "Well, if they're robots, why did they have sex? Because they were fully functional. That's the reason why they had sex." And it looked like they were just doing robotic motions anyway. Don't ask stupid questions on that. No. Oh man. Um. Yeah. It was a miss. I could have done with more Bollywood scenes. To tell you the truth. Uh, I mean, the Bollywood scene was kind of short. It really was. You could have done more with that. Yeah. Mufinobi says it was a missed opportunity to take the cosmic but use earthly limitations. Yeah. You think the best character was the valet, Beth? For comic relief, yes, he was the best character. I actually was leaning more towards Gilgamesh. Even though the limited amount of time that Gilgamesh was there, the whole thing with him making beer, by chewing up each kernel of corn and having it ferment in his spit and giving it to Kingo, and Kingo's like, "This is really good. What's it made out of?" And he tells him, he's like, spits it out. That I thought was actually pretty good. But also his whole thing with Athena or Athena was really good as well. That was, I think, the most developed character who didn't get any time. I mean, Makari just fucking disappears into the background, and no one really cared about her. Uh, was she relevant in the end? I don't know, and then the whole cliffhanger ending, of course, of um, Arishem coming back and grabbing the celestials that are, or the Eternals, excuse me, that are left on Earth, and then bringing them to judgment to see if humans are still worthy of the death of a celestial was kind of stupid. Which brought about why Dane was going to touch the ebony blade to become, so he can get power enough in order to find Cersei and help her, because he watched all of that happen. Yeah. But the other thing that got me too is, okay, you have the earth shaking like it is. So all the quakes, by the way, and the celestials being born out of Earth, that's actually taken from a comic called Earth X, which is another alternate world. Which I'm starting to wonder if this is an alternate universe now. If the Eternals is actually an alternate universe that this happened, or and it's part, because I mean, remember, this is after Loki now at this point. So anything is possible where you can have multiple universes or the multiverse. So is this happening on the MCU that we know, or is this a different planet that this is happening? Um, there's another question too on all of this. Yes. Well, Erisham is the judge of that. Yes, because he decided that he was going to be. So yeah, there's just a lot of, like I said, this movie brings up a lot more problems than it needs to be, and hopefully it ironed. I don't know. Maybe I'll be proven wrong with all the rest of the movies that come out afterwards. Maybe like 3 years down the line, I'll go, "Oh yeah, Eternals wasn't such a bad movie because it set up this, this, and this, and this." But then again, I don't think that's going to be the case. But you never know. So, with that said, I'm going to let you guys go for the night. Thank you to everybody who joined me tonight in the chat, and thank you if you made it through this long, rambly video. If you're still on the fence about subscribing, take a look at the video that pops up at the very end here. YouTube takes the algorithms of all the stuff you've been watching and tries to match it as best as possible to one of the videos in my mass video library, and pops up there just for you. And if you like what you see there, hit that subscribe button down below there. And if you can, hit that like button, the share button as well. And if you don't want to get a notification of when I come on live, hit that bell down below. It's a 50 to 0 chance that you're actually going to get notified by YouTube. Best thing to do is go to suspendedfanimation.com. Take a look at the schedule up there. I change it every week. Also, I have all the links to all my social media on there and all my pages on there as well. And what else do I have going on this week? Well, tomorrow I'm off. Thursday is going to be the season finale of Doom Patrol. That's right. Doom Patrol is on Thursday. Friday, I'm off. Saturday is Saturday Morning Blast. Where I take the genre news of the weekend, any genre stuff you guys want to talk about. We talk about it. Um, Monday will be, or excuse me, Sunday I'll be off, and then Monday will be another episode of Spoiler Alert, where we get to talk about spoilers about anything. And then Tuesday will be another episode of Is It Worth My Time? And I believe I'm going to be doing Cowboy Bebop. No, I think that's Cowboy Bebop. No, actually, Cowboy Bebop's not coming out for a while next. I'll figure something out. It'll be announced. So, yeah. Exactly. As Penn said, hit that like button before you go, too. Arcane. Yeah. You know what? Actually, I saw Arcane up there, Joe, and I did cover it during one of the Saturday morning blast offs, and I was thinking about it. We'll see. It might be Arcane. Who knows? With that said, I'm going to let you guys go. Thanks, everybody. I will see you. Well, I will see you again on Thursday. Until then, don't let the door hit your ass on the way out, because otherwise, you may have the earth get impregnated. It sometimes happens. I mean, it wasn't on the pill. Things like that happen. And of course, the earth's actually kind of a little bit irresponsible too. So, you know, don't get me started on any of that. So, thanks everybody. I will see you again on Thursday. Take care, be well, stay safe out there, wear those masks, get those vaccine shots, and get those flu shots as well. And stay safe out there. Thanks, everybody. I'll see you again on Thursday. Have a good rest of your night and a good Wednesday as well. Good night, everybody.